Hi, it's Janie here at the League-Kempner house in Galveston. Today I'm standing out in the greenhouse, and y'all have seen this before early on in season 1 when we were going around the house doing kind of room by room tours and looking at things. But I'm very excited to say we're about to start restoration on it. And you may have heard me mention this in some other videos, but we applied for a grant with Clean Galveston and we received a $3,000 grant to work on the greenhouse. And normally we would not work on something like this because it's not, in the main house and it's something that can wait. But this grant has to be used for something out in the yard that's visible, that helps beautify the community. And so this greenhouse is just screaming for help. Before we get into the repairs that we're doing now, let's take a quick look at how the greenhouse was when I first purchased the house back in January of 2021. It was full of trash and just in terrible shape. It still had the glass in place, what was left of it. It was dirty, it was overgrown, it was just covered in wires and vines. A tree had fallen on it. A lot of the glass was shattered. It was very dangerous. It broke in these dagger-like shards. It was just a mess, and it took a lot of work. We had a hurricane come through, or projected to come through, so we made an emergency call to remove all the glass. Then a few weeks later, we started the clean out process. All this debris and trash had to be hauled away. It was a lot of work, and there was a lot of dirt inside that had to be dug out. So an awful lot of work has already gone on to clean this up and get it to the state it's in now. But to get it restored, it still has a very long way to go. So we're going to take that $3,000 and do what we do with all our money. We are going to stretch it as far as you can. So we are very excited about partnering with Ball High School and Galveston College. Our volunteer, Pat, who has been with us a year now, she has kicked off this program, and it's going to be great. We have a lot of other things working, but you can see there's a lot of metal work to do here. And one of our volunteers, Sherry, who you have met many times over, her husband is now semi-retired, and he has volunteered, Sherry volunteered him, but he is taking the lead on the restoration itself. And he is just a very methodical, I don't know how you would describe him. He's a perfectionist. He can do just about anything, and he has already come in here and done some work with Sherry. Let me show you what went on there. All right, stealthy volunteers. I was inside having my peanut butter and jelly sandwich and found out our volunteer Roman, this is Sherry's husband, who is taking the lead on the greenhouse refurbishment.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
He doesn't know how it happened. I think it's called Sherry. I think it's called being married.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Anyway, little bits. So
stuff, getting rid of the junk before we start cleaning the wood. That's all, just so it's not in our way.
Yeah.
It's all rusted.
And we've got to chop a lot of these branches off here.
Which she's working on.
Sherry's working on, so she needed her own ladder.
I brought mine.
We're going to save all that and make jewelry or something for the
This is just
gift shop.
Trash, right? Not just lawn trash.
We save everything.
Reuse, recycle,
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
That's right.
It's hard to tell where the wire is and the vine is.
I know. The vines are amazing. They're really strong. They're really woody, I guess. And they get in the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So there's a lot of copper in here.
Another treasure.
Yep. Here you go.
Sounded good. Wood's hard, huh?
Yes. That's a good sign.
It's a good sign. You're almost done for the day.
Almost done for the day.
I've been inside for an hour or so. They're still at it. And Joe's right. It does look much better just with all the weird wires and things all gone.
Salvaged a lot of copper.
Looks like a boot scraper, or what used to be a boot scraper.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Love it.
WD-40 and
I don't know if it's
hand
helps,
drink.
but this is what we're doing.
So today, Sherry and Roman came back, and he has been doing some researching into the kind of wood we need. McNatt had suggested white oak because we need something with a lot of strength, especially for these spans right here. They're long and they take a lot of weight from the glass. Cedar or cypress would be too soft and have too much flex in it for that. So the white oak is going to be very expensive. So Roman is kind of searching the country to see what he can do there, and then once we get the rough cut lumber, how to get the right profile cut into it, and we'll talk more about that as we proceed along in the restoration. But he's got that going on. We talked today about what components can be done kind of separate and independently. So this was a kit. Let me back up and tell you about the greenhouse itself. This was a kit from Lord & Burnham. It's one of the oldest greenhouse manufacturers in the world. We know it's Lord & Burnham because there's a little plaque on the door to the greenhouse, and the door we have, it's buried somewhere in the basement. Someday we'll get it out. It's way in the back. Ours is a very simple design, but because it's a kit, what Roman and I were looking at today is, before we get the rest of the wood and some of the things done, are there some components that can be replaced early on? So this door frame is an example. If you look at it, Joe, come close and take a look. There's a steel piece here that goes all the way to the ground. It's bolted into the concrete and formed in, but everything is put on with nuts and bolts. So if we can pop this free, we can take this very rotted door frame down, put a new one in, put in a new header, and get this repaired without touching anything else. So this is a great project that can be done in small stages. So our grant request was not to refurbish the whole greenhouse. It was just to get started. We want this to be a volunteer project. We're going to take our time. We're going to use that money mostly to buy supplies, but we're going to do all volunteer labor. So we were just out here today talking about some options for it, how to do some of the posts. We're looking at moving the sink outside. This space, we want it to be a multi-purpose space. You can see the structure is shot. These aren't doing anything. It's being held up by an old heating system. We're going to leave that till we get all this rebuilt. But we want to use it maybe as a greenhouse partially, but also for event space. So we spent a lot of time looking at table layouts, how we might use it, how we might finish the floor. We've decided to use our antique brick to dig all this out and tile it with our sidewalk pavers and the brick that we have left. That's a great volunteer task. It was a working greenhouse, so it did have a sink space or a potting, what do you call this? A potting
bench.
Potting bench. We're going to take it out and get rid of this and redo it. So what Roman and I were talking about is maybe moving it to the outside. So we might do a lower bench over here with the sink, and it could also serve as not just a potting space, but when we have catered events in there, it could be a staging area for caterers to bring food in from the trucks and set before they have service. So we're going to think real hard about the multiple uses of the space and how we might use this, but it's going to look much better. Stage one, again, is just repairing some of the wood work on it and salvaging anything we can. So Sherry and Roman started today with scraping the glazing out. So all of these were, of course, windows, just like we did the windows in the round parlor area. This is where the glass sits. It would have little pins or glazing points. We need to pull those out, and then you glaze the glass. And this can all be saved. Look at it. It's in really really good shape. They're going to scrape it, clean it, sand it, kill the mold. We're going to put a wood hardener on it to absorb in there and make it really strong. But almost everything on the bottom that you see can be salvaged and saved. So if we can save it, we will. If not, like obviously, obviously this, well, technically I guess you could put a wood hardener on it and fill it with putty, but it's too far gone. We're going to rip that out and put something else on it. But
It's a gorgeous day.
it is beautiful.
What else would you want to do but scrape old paint and glazing
Nothing.
from a greenhouse? I mean,
Nothing.
This is it. This is paradise.
Yeah, this is the time to do it.
Oh yeah. Before it gets too cold and before it gets too hot.
And it looks so good.
It looks really good. So I figure do all of them, go around, and then kind of come back one time for like a little fine tuning and some sanding,
Yeah.
and then it should be good to go. I think. So at least the bottom, the sides, then will be
Be done.
done. So that'll be something.
I call Sherry and Roman the greenhouse fairies because they just live close by and pop in whenever the weather's nice and work for an hour or two depending on their schedule. And it's shocking over the course of a few weeks just how much work they can get done. They are almost finished with all the scraping and are ready to start sanding and painting this bottom portion of the greenhouse. It's going to look fantastic. But there's still a lot we have to do to repair all of the damaged wood on the upper portion. So when I do run into Roman and Sherry there, we spend some time and talk about what that's going to take and how to get that done.
So they are almost exactly 10 feet long, maybe a little bit less, but you know, we're accounting for the angles that are cut on the end, so a 10-foot board. Yeah, so, but I went all the way to where the longest part would be.
As did I.
Yeah, a little bit further, so if we get a 10-foot board, we can kind of rip that to the right size and then route it hopefully to the right shape. And so we need 32 of them. So
what we're looking at is Roman already cut off the end. So the profile's a little shrunken and dried.
yeah,
But it's not really 2x4, it's something much smaller.
yeah, because the width is about a little bit less than 1.5. So if a 2x4 would do it,
And how tall?
but likewise only about, no, I can't see the whole thing. Maybe about 2 inches or so. It's almost like a 1 by, no, I'm sorry, but
A 2x.
2 by 3. It's kind of odd.
So 2x4. If we
But a
found
2x4
2x4, that would be good.
Well, the bad part about that, it would be very wasteful
The
because
2x4 is
you could get only one out of a
3
2x4.
5/8.
A 2x4, you'd only get one of these. It'd be nice if we could get something with a non-standard, either non-standard measurement or try to figure out is it better to get a 2x6 or 2x8 and try to minimize the waste on the wood. I mean, at least with a 2x6, well, maybe, yeah, I gotta do math.
If you ripped a...
I'm gonna need a piece of paper, so. But if we find a place that will actually cut it to like a 2x3, then we'll be good.
Well, there's the only one I know of in Houston is Houston Hardwood.
Yeah, I found their website
and they have a milling shop.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they have rough lumber. Like we went through, Stuart and I, and picked and measured and picked specific boards. Because they vary, they're not standard.
Well, I'm going to call them because
dimensions,
I found them and I know they have the white oak. So I'm going to call them, explain what we're doing, ask them about, you know, because we'll do our own, hopefully, milling. You know, I can hopefully do that, find the right router bits. But if they can get us from their stock something that's close to the size we need, that would be the easiest thing. Anyway, that's what I needed, so now we know. And you said 32?
Yes.
Total? Okay.
16 times 2.
32, correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, were the ends the same dimension?
Oh, good question.
They're not. They're just a plain. Well, they're the same one sideways. It looks like not routed, but kind of on the side. No, they are.
Are they bigger?
Oh, these are
Rounded
bigger.
because
Yeah.
last These are a little wider.
These are a little bit wider. They are, I can't see. Yeah, they're almost kind of the same. They're about 2.5 by 2, but it's more than, it looks like more than one piece.
These are laminated onto each other, it looks
Yeah,
like.
I think this is a separate cap that they put on. These, and this also may be a separate strip. So it's almost like they did just a regular.
Because it does have the glass here and the drip edge.
So it does have that.
So it's only, they've only done,
That's a nice.
yeah, this is a cap they put on here.
Yeah. So it's similar, just you know,
All right, so they
groove
didn't
on one
router
side.
it. They just used a flat board
Yeah.
and then put another one that left the lip for the glaze.
It's only routed on this inside, I think.
Just the drip.
Just this drip here. And everything else is just created by stacking, so. Yeah,
Yours are showing up right enough today.
excellent. Well, it's a gorgeous day.
So let me
Okay.
ask you this. The top flap of the top window, that would also be white oak, correct?
Yes.
And
guess-
that's different dimensions and a whole nother ball
We
game.
might be able to save that. So
Yeah.
we can do wonders with the epoxy
Yep.
and the paint. So if we could get that off and down on a table,
Yeah.
we might be able to just epoxy.
Well,
Okay.
that's a good idea. And you know, it'll be easier to work on that. We have to remove it anyway, I think.
Yes, it's got to come down to get that top piece
Yeah.
out. So it's got to come off.
Yep.
I left Sherry and Roman at it, and Kelly and I headed off to stalk a little house that was being remodeled. It's an 1893 cottage, and they were ripping all the siding off of it, and it's beautiful 130-year-old cedar, and we got permission to salvage it, so we loaded up my car and her car and made a few trips to collect some of this beautiful wood. Then I had to deal with a varmint down in the basement, and there was a lot of activity in the house going on because we were still getting ready for a November fundraising event and getting dressed up for Christmas for the big Galveston Dickens on the Strand celebration. Okay, this is our volunteer Karen. Y'all have met her before. She's new with us, and she's undertaken the cleaning of the vestibule, and we don't think it's ever really been cleaned. Nobody can remember cleaning it, and just one little area is so gross and dirty. Do you want me to try to get, I don't know if it'll fit. Actually, our tall 15-foot ladder.
No, I think I'm good.
All right, do you think you can get up there? Okay, if not, we can try to bring in the bigger ladder. But this is our brush that Donnell left us, which is a cool little brush. It's got these soft plastic bristles, so it doesn't scratch the
But
wood,
it's,
but it
really-
gets in the
Maybe those
grooves.
grooves.
You know what, I'm going to take a picture of the back of that because I've searched all over the internet and can't
It's
find
not
it.
good.
I'm going to stop and take. Yeah, she has done a lot of training in preservation and museum maintenance, and she brought that with her.
Oh, that, I mean, I'm like you,
Yeah,
I've
it's
not
a
seen
great,
it.
great little tool. You can see just how dirty this is. So Cindy showed up
Oh.
today, doing her usual miracle work in the yard, weeding. Then the most incredible and strange thing happened. Just 2 days before, Joe and I had been talking about our very first tour when we had our little office down under the porch. We bought a sign, put it in the yard, and no sooner had we put it in the yard than a woman pulls up to the curb quickly, jumps out waving a $100 bill, and runs up to the house saying, "I want to be first, I want to be first." So she was our very first tour, and we were wondering what happened to her. Well, darned if she didn't come walking through the door. We were so excited to see her, and she explained that she and her husband were moving out of town and selling their house, and they had just had a big estate sale, and a lot of the Victorian furniture did not sell. And she handed us the key to the house and said, "We're not going back. Anything in the house you can have. I'm calling somebody next week to clear everything out and get rid of it. If you want it, it's yours." So not only were we excited to see her, but she gave us an incredible gift. So we ran over to the house and took a quick survey of what was left and decided what we could get. And fortunately, I had a friend's daughter who was coming for one of our special events, and she's young and strong, and she could help me empty out the house. Is that a two-person job?
Probably.
Okay.
At least to do it gracefully down the stairs.
All right, I'm coming. All right, this is Michelle. She is our board member Stephanie's daughter, and she's incredibly young and so strong, and she's agreed to come help me for 3 or 4 days. And it's perfect timing because we got all this furniture and stuff for free. We even got a Christmas tree, which Kathleen Macca just put out an appeal for us to try to get Christmas decorations for the house. And these are all garlands for the front porch. Ours were very cheap and very faded. But Michelle and I have been hauling stuff since 8:30 this morning. It's now almost noon, and we've got a couple more big things to go. And it saved a lot of money because I got a quote from a moving company, and they wanted $850 to come do all this. So we're doing it ourselves. Not only did we get some great pieces of Victorian furniture, we got a lot of other stuff. I had to call Mary to make sure she was serious when she said she was never coming back to take anything we wanted. And she was. So we took cleaning supplies, brooms, mops, shovels, yard equipment, even took the toilet paper out of the bathroom, glassware. If it was something we could use, we grabbed it. So a huge thank you to Mary and her husband. The things are going to look beautiful in the house, and we appreciate her being our very first tour and her thinking of us when she was clearing out her house. I know a lot of these pieces are meaningful and sentimental to her, and we're just thrilled to have them in our home. She's back.
What of these did you have to get a better view of me?
Dub, dub, dub. Girl power. It's not that light either.
Entryway or what?
I don't know. We'll just set it there and Joe can decide. Whoop! How goes it up there?
Well,
Oh, you've done the ceiling. I can tell the difference.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I stopped scrubbing for a little bit and just using much water in this rag because there's so much dirt that I can't even really tell where the mildew is. So I'll come back and scrub a little bit.
Thank goodness Kelly had brought us a huge supply of rags because I think Karen used them all. But before you know it, it was time for our event. Thanks to Jen with Spooky Galveston, we hosted the Dead Edgar again, and she and her sister Wendy put on a phenomenal show. As always, the house looked great. It was very spooky with the lighting, and of course, Dead Edgar is always a treat.
That is in this mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment in this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more. Open here I flung the shudder, wind with many a flirt and flutter. In there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. Perched and sat, and nothing more.
The event was a great success. People seemed to enjoy themselves. But then something happens that is never good. At 2:30 in the morning, the burglar alarm went off. So in a stupor, I had to get up and drive back to Galveston to meet the police and go through the house. Fortunately, it turned out to be a false alarm. We've never had a false alarm before, but that's a good thing. But not getting any sleep really did me in. Fortunately, our volunteers showed up en masse to continue our preparations for Dickens on the Strand. All right, we are here today with a new volunteer, Wafa.
Hi.
And she is a fabulous find. She's an architect from Syria, and she's going to do floor plans for the house. We've had two kind of earlier iterations of just the first and second floor, but she's going to do a complete set for us. And y'all have met Karen, who scrubbed our vestibule for us. But we're up here in our junk room, which is really junky. So we're going to empty it out, organize, sort, and figure out what we have and get it where we can use it. And that may be the plans right there, Wafa. I said I took them home.
Oh, really?
No. No, just paper. Never mind. Okay. So we're going to get busy.
This is awesome. Like,
Here's my elusive hard hat.
oh, here it goes.
Light fixtures, daisies, fireplace tile.
You need to show your bed.
My cool Goodwill find
Yes.
that Karen's coveting. She may
Yes,
just
it's gonna
she
be-
may just get that
It's
as
gonna
a
be
gift.
messy when we get back here too.
But we're thinking of putting that in Daisy's room.
Okay.
We used to like Karen as a volunteer, but we don't anymore because she keeps bringing giant bowls,
her to bring more.
giant bowls of candy, and we have no willpower.
And this one. And this one.
All right, Miss Pre-Diabetic.
I'm not gonna eat them all at once.
5
Only
minutes,
free.
spaced out 5 minutes apart. Yeah.
I just have to exercise in between.
Oh yeah. Okay. All those who think that's going to happen, hit the like button now. And I can go on the front porch. All right, a couple of hours of very hard work by Karen and Wafa, and this room looks so much better. We've got things up high and organized by type. They cleaned out the closet, put the things we don't need for a long time in there. That's still my table I have to decide what to do with. But now we know what we have to work with, and our goal will be not to fill it up with more stuff. All right, we found some more things up in our junk room that were donated, some pictures. We're going to unveil them and see what we have. Look.
Birds. You know how to draw
Birds, 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 birds. That looks like seascape, which is good because we're by the sea. Oop, oop, oop. Trade places. Joe and I were trying to film the wrap up for the video when this happened. It's absolutely fabulous. Oh, 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 oh. Oh my God. Okay. Your little squirrel. Okay.
Was that an owl?
There was almost a tragedy. No, so Joe was out here trying to take a picture of a little squirrel looking through the window. He ran from her, and he was sitting on the side of that palm tree over there, and I was talking to the camera. A hawk swooped down and tried to grab him and dropped him and then flew right over there, and that little squirrel ran out there. So anyway, I just almost witnessed Mother Nature and the food chain. Anyway, sorry. Run! Look at the little squirrel. He's acting like nothing happened. There is a huge big hawk that is often sitting out here in the greenhouse, and he has swooped so close to me several times I could touch him. He's not afraid of anything. But anyway, I forgot where I was. I used to have a pet squirrel, so I'm a little sensitive about squirrels getting eaten by hogs. I know that's the way it goes in squirrels' life, but I didn't want to see it. Anyway, I don't know where it was, but that's the greenhouse. So we will get more into it later as we get going, but it will be a fun project. It'll be very, very visible from the street. We're looking at having a plant sale in here possibly next spring to generate some more funds and start working on the glass components of it. But we're happy to save everything we can that's historic about this house, and the gardens and the grounds in the greenhouse were very special to this house. Okay, I've regained my composure. So thank you very much for watching. We're the League-Kempner House here in Galveston, Texas. We're a nonprofit set up to restore and preserve this incredible house. We don't see the back of it very often. It is a beautiful old house, but it needs a lot of work. So thank y'all for watching on YouTube. We'll be back next week with another segment. Be sure and subscribe and turn on your notifications and follow us in this great journey.